Hello, welcome to episode 17 of season 2 of the Yarnivore podcast. I am Sadie, also known as Sadie Rune on Twitter and on Instagram, and Blue Rune on Ravelry. We also have a Ravelry board. It's called Yarnivore. Come over and join. This tends to be where I post pretty much anything that has to do with the podcast, and if you're looking for more of the dye information, that would be the Knitter's Nightmare Yarn and Fiber message board where I post updates, etc. And okay, so I did remember. I thought I forgot a few things, but I guess I remembered everything, and we can jump right into the show. I have a coffee here. I have water in front of me that you can't see, because coffee is important. There's no way around it. Coffee is very important. It is my lifeblood, and I drink a lot of it, as we all know. So, I do have a finished object. I can't show it to you because it is currently not even in the house. I thought about keeping it and not letting my husband wear it to work, but then he would be cold. And as he is sleeping on a ship, it's really cold from what I understand, so he sleeps in his toque. I finished an actual hat for my husband. It's brioche. I could show you the pattern, but I actually don't recommend the pattern because it made this little weird horn thing, which so it's okay when he pulls it down over his head, but he has a weird obsession with pulling the little piece that makes it look like a horn and being like, "Ooh, I've got a horn." So it's really confusingly written, and I've knit a couple things in brioche, right? So I'm not an expert by any means with the stretch, but I know what a BRK and a BRP are, and I understand the brioche terminology, and this is not written in brioche terminology. It's very confusing. So I really don't feel the need to advertise that pattern, which I paid for. It's kind of sad. And it's not even on my projects page. I probably won't put it in my projects page because I don't want to necessarily, other people may be able to do it. For me, I found it very confusing. There's not a lot of, not many people have knitted, so it's okay. It's probably not a big deal. But I cannot show it to you this week because it is currently very yawn that way. Hold on. Hi, Mom. I usually don't like texting, but if I don't text her back, she'll be like, "Are you dead? Are you dying? Are you okay?" Recording podcast. Text when done. She will now text me back with just the letter K because somehow I need that. And she did, and we're all good. So there should be no more texts throughout the duration of this. I should have texted her in advance. I'm sorry. Poor manners. I am poor manners today. But she just got back. She and my aunt and uncle went on a vacation to Hawaii, which was good for her. I am so glad she got to go out and have some fun in the sun, and she went to Pearl Harbor because that's what you do. So, let's jump right into whips, shall we? Got great lighting today. It's actually because it's really bright out today. Here, I can open this up actually. Really let some of that gorgeous light in because it doesn't happen very frequently in this winter time. As you can see, the modem flashing away is doing its business today. Alrighty, so in no particular order I'm going to do my works in progress because they're all kind of down here. Because apparently I needed to build a cocoon. So there's actually a cocoon of things around me. And I don't know where to put my works in progress. Starting off in my coffee bucket, you will recall the Comet socks, which I didn't bring the pattern in here. You saw it last week. You saw it the week before. You'll probably see it next week. This is patterned by Stephanie van der Linden. It is free on Ravelry. And I have modified the pattern so that I put in a gusset heel. The pattern is a short row heel. I don't do the short row heel because I suck at them. I don't like them. It's just bad. So the first sock was done last week, I believe you saw. There's the nice pattern. It's gorgeous. Soft Like Kittens yarn in the double helix sock, I want to say. Yes, the double helix sock, prototype 157. No, 152 was off. She's no longer dying. I apologize for rubbing it in your face. You can always try and find some on a D-stash. Just don't come knocking at my page asking me, because it's the gold of my stash. So the second sock I started, and I got pretty decently far on. I have done two pattern repeats so far. And I just love this. I love the pattern, I love the sock, I love the colors, which are showing up perfectly. But, and I'm knitting them on 2.25 millimeter needles, US ones. These are, of course, Chiago. And that would be my mother-in-law. I will look at it so it won't blibble, and I will respond to her later. She won't mind. Okay. Next up, my husband or my brother will text me, just because that is what's happening today. So, I did the ribbing. I was having a brain dead kind of day where, and I figured I've got the pattern printed out. It's right in front of me. Don't need to look at the iPad. I can watch some podcasts, and I can just knit this. Which is really, really smart until you realize I will show you on the first sock. Okay, so on the first sock, it goes hole, cross, hole, cross, hole, cross, right? So you get 3 repeats across. Makes sense, right? So here's my second sock. It goes hole, cross, hole. Okay, so apparently it's just my mother-in-law. I should just turn the ringer off, but then, it tings on my iPad, and that's the problem here. So, it goes hole, cross, hole. Hole, cross, hole. So I didn't alternate the pattern. So the socks will not be matchy-matchy, which, given the lace pattern, hopefully won't bug me. But that means that on the sides, there's like 2 holes together, right next to each other. And by the time I realized I had done that, I was on the second repeat. So it was like, I'm not even going to bother with this. I'm not. I'm just going to keep going and pretend I don't know it. Because unless I focus in on it, I'm not going to notice when I'm wearing lace socks that the one repeat happens to be in a different coordination than the other. That, and I love the yarn so much. Still want to bathe in it. Still want to bathe in it. So that's my first work in progress. And of course, these are for the 16 socks in 2016, which is a co-hosted project between me and the passionate spinner, Tracy, who is also doing a Harry Potter along. And I just have to say, while I'm not a Harry Potter fan, and there's some bra here, you get some lovely boob shots. I am not a Harry Potter fan, but I know a lot of people who are, and I just want to tell you she's doing a Harry Potter along. You can knit, you can crochet, I believe you can even sew and spin. And one of the prizes is the ever coveted, it's mini skeins, not full skeins here, let's not get crazy. They're mini skeins of the ever coveted Opal Harry Potter series, because she has them all, so she is very kindly offering a prize of mini skeins of those. So if you're obsessed with that crap and you can't find the yarns and you want mini skeins, just saying, go join her group, go watch her podcast, and do the Harry Potter along. Like, I need to poke anyone who likes Harry Potter into doing something like that, but just saying, if you're looking for it, that's where you go. Passionate, P-A-S-S-I-O-K-N-I-T, not passionate, the regular spell, passionate, spinner. She's on YouTube, she has a blog that she puts it on, and there's a Ravelry group. God, I love coffee. Okay, so next up on needles, I appear to be just grabbing them at random, in my Tangerine Designs bag. Oh crap, I just realized something. Okay, I'm going to show you this, then I'll pause and we'll come back. So in my Tangerines design bag, we have, I haven't cast on the second one yet, but we have the first of Mum's Mabels, and it is the Mabel Sock by moi. It is paid for pattern. I think it's like $2 or $2.50. It's not a lot of money, and I wrote it, so I love it because it's mine. And I could have brought over a sock blocker, but this is just so much more fun. Actually, I do have a sock blocker right here. Right here. But I got big sock blockers, and she's got tiny foot, so this is going to stretch it out. Although I've already put it on my foot, so it's not like it's going to get too much more stretched out. Right. Okay, it looks massive, but it's actually for a women's 7.5-ish, so about Tracy's size, which is what, a 40 something? 42, 44 UK. So it's got the diamond decreases. As with the pattern, you start the top design after you finish the gusset. I forgot because I was talking to my brother-in-law who is not currently at home. So we were talking for a little bit, chatting, because he's getting married this year-ish. This year-ish? I want to say this year-ish. It's like in the Christmas time, so it's you know, you get confused as to if it's this year or next year. But so we were chatting about that, and I knit like an inch of it without thinking. So then I just put the pattern in later, and it worked. And that is the first one done. I've not started the second one. I am knitting them. The pattern calls for 2.5, but I'm using 2.25 millimeter DPNs. These are the Clover Takumi. They're actually really nice, and they're so nice on my hands. Seriously, I'm going to get a set of wooden needles. I think I'll grab a circular and some more DPNs because I'm really indifferent to the Circ DPN debate now, because I just am. If I can knit on it, I'm fine. If I you know, I am using Patton's Croix sock stripes in the Burnished Sierra stripe colorway. I'm not sure if this is still around. Like, this is really deep stash. This is some like 2010, I want to say, stash. Like, I've had it for a long time. But I do love it, and I have some more, so I might have to make myself a pair of socks, because I think I still have 2 more balls of this after this one. And that is more than enough. It was more than ample for my feet. Actually, I could probably bang out a pair for the hubby in this. It's a little more masculine. I tend to try and find the sock colors that are a little more masculine for him. Not that he really cares, because he does like electric green and bright purple, like, you know, Joker colors. But I really like those colors too, so it gets a little problematic. And if I can find something that's a little more toned down, you can get away with wearing it more often. It's just, it is what it is. Not that it's going to stop him from wearing socks. Now I'm going to pause you, and I will be right back. While I hate editing these things together, sometimes you just have to do that. Alrighty. Next one. This is a Bad Amy bag. I actually specially requested this bag because she did before she was dyeing stripy socks, like, a lot, before even the club, she would do these one-offs once a year that would have a 2-color stripe and a bag that coordinated. And I wanted the bag, and I missed the opportunity to purchase the bag with the yarn. And I was like, will you ever have these bags? She was like, oh, you just want a bag? I'm like, yes I do. So I got one. Because of course it's adorable bats, which means I need it year-round in my life. And fuzz. 3 cats and a dog. What's the chances we're going to be full of fuzz around this house? Okay, so I did remember to bring this up so I could actually show you a picture of it. The third thing I'm working on is the What a View Cuff Down by Penny Shummers. Shum Shum. So here is a close-up picture of that. Whoa. Take your finger off. Thank you. There's a close-up shot of that. As you can see, it's got columns, and it does look very reminiscent of the windows of the Scarlett Bennett. I see what she was going for. It's a $6 pattern, knit by Bit Designs, and yeah, so this was part of a kit that Desert Vista had at SSK 2014, year before this, last year. I have finished the first chart. So, here, I'll hold it the right way. The color is amazing. I'm not even going to lie to you. I bought the kit because I liked the yarn. I could have gone either way on the pattern. I could have gone either way on like all the frilly bits that we got, which were still nice. I wanted this yarn. I was willing to go to the mat for the yarn because the colors are gorgeous. So, as you can see, it's got the the twisted stitch. It's not a cable, it's like a running stitch. And as you can see here, I've started the arches for the windows, which are nice. So that's the first pattern repeat on the first sock. I will say that the pattern for me, I'm following the charted one, and the only major gripe I have is that there's no division lines. So there's no numbers across the bottom and there's no 10 divisions. Really, it's a small problem. If I printed it out, I would have gridded it myself anyway, but I didn't print it out. But there's only like 1 or 2 long stretches of numbers that I've had to count, so it's not make or break. It's definitely not make or break. The yarn of which I am willing to go to the mat for is Desert Vista Dyeworks in the Vista color, in the Vista base, which is 75/25 superwash merino nylon in the Midnight Lake colorway. And it's gorgeous. It could have a baby with the nets yarn and probably make the perfect yarn child. Be the perfect yarn child. I forgot to bring my stripy sock. It's gotten like 2 stripes added to it, so it's not really a big deal. My Cindy, she's on the kitchen table because we gamed. We played Netrunner, which is the hubby's new deck building game, which he really likes. I like it. Was okay playing. We were playing it for the first time, so that can be a little clunky, but it was not too long, not too short. I was starting to get the hang of it. He's kind of obsessed with it, and by kind of obsessed with it, I mean that half of his Valentine's Day gift is expansion packs for it. There's like 3 cycles of expansion packs. They don't do it like Magic or Pokemon where you have to buy the packs and keep collecting them in hopes that you get them. Like, they release them in sets and you can buy them, but they're retiring the first and second set. So he's like, if you need to get me anything, if I need to get you anything, he's getting a cast iron pan, frying pan, or skillet, or whatever you want to call it, and expansion packs for his game, because if I hear about wanting a cast iron pan one more time, I might go postal. He is obsessed with getting a good sear on his meat, and if he's going to get a good sear on his meat, he needs a cast iron skillet. So I have bought him one. It should be here today. I'm going to wrap it. I'm debating like putting it in the stove and leaving the stove off and being like, your present's in the stove, because I think that would be kind of funny. Half your present's in the stove. My present is in Tacoma. I get mine tomorrow. And of course I made sure that we have meat in the house. We have very large steaks. That may not be what he wants, so we may have to go out and get more meat. But I am completely prepared to go meat shopping if the need arises. We have weird Valentine's Day things. What did you get for Valentine's Day? Well, I got a cast iron skillet. What'd you get your wife? Well, I got her some yarn and knitting things and a cross-stitch pattern. Now this bag, actually I prefer this side because I get the full bird. Like, how awesome is this? Okay. Very rarely do you get a bag where you get the full-on print. Friggin' love it. And of course it's Fat Squirrel. As I love Fat Squirrel. My Rubenesque rodent. Okay, so in this bag, let me preface this with a little story, a tale, if you will. I was watching podcasts, random podcasts. I'm not caught up on anyone by any stretch of the imagination, except maybe Tracy. I'm done Tracy. I think I've caught up to Mina, and I'm not even caught up on the Knit Girls or Wolf Farms right now. I think I'm too behind on them. I'm trying. I'm getting there. It all depends on which, like, I have an autoplay in my YouTube, and I just, so, or I just click whatever's down below it next or recommended for you, and that's how I get stuff done, because it'll show you a little watch thing at the top. But anywho, just flipping through podcasts. I found a new podcast that I wanted to mention, and it's Herbstblatt Regina. Regina? Regina. It's Regina, said differently. Because I'm from Regina, so saying Regina, like, it's hard for me personally. But Herbstblatt, which I'm probably saying wrong, all the Germans are laughing, means like autumn and leaves, or fall and leaves, so very autumnal. I'm enjoying her podcast. I've enjoyed watching a couple of it. I'm gonna, of course, have to go back and watch more. She's just so perky. But not annoyingly perky, like the kind you want to stab in the face. Because there are people like that. I can't do that. Some voices annoy me, some perk annoys me. She's the perfect level of perk. For me, personally. So do go check her out. It's Herbstblatt. And I suck at, and I have no, Herbstblatt. I think. Correct me. Feel free. YouTube and Ravelry. Feel free to correct that. She's got a podcast group. And she's Reggie on Ravelry. Reggy. So if you're trying to find her that way, just find the person Reggie, and her podcast will be linked in there. Anywho. She, Mina, Tracy, Dawn from Wolf Farms. The recent one I watched was all about this. Do you know what this is? I don't have to explain this to anyone, do I? I was making minis because I'm sending some to Tracy, and they're not ready yet, Tracy, just so you know. It's probably going to be next week before it gets out, just because I still have to tag them, and separating them has been a beast because there's, you know, a giant bag involved, and life, and dogs, and cats, and dying, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. I thought about picking up my old one, and I actually dug it out, and I was like, oh look, it's started, and then I was like, and I have no idea which pattern I used. I don't know how I did the thing up the front, like, did I do a knit 2 pass stitch, or did I do a central double D? What did I do there? I don't know, and it's in stockinette, and I was like, I don't like that. So I binned it. There's like, you know, 8 or 9 of them, or 10 maybe, I don't know. It just wasn't worth unraveling. I looked at it and I said goodbye. Like, I couldn't turn it into a scarf or a, like, blanket for the pets. I couldn't do anything with it. So I binned it. Started a new one. And this is about like a night's worth of work because I got super hooked. Super frigging hooked. So my plan is to just use my boobs as a shower offer of things. I am going to do it in quadrants and then seam them all together because I think that would be easier for me to handle. And that's just what I want to do. I want to do it so that all the miters are like pointing out, and not like so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do basically four blocks, seam them together, and I might add more on the top, but I don't know. I might just make it a big friggin' honkin' square. So yeah, I'm on my 8th. On my 8th. I have no rhyme or reason to doing this. I'm going to have to weave in my ends now. No rhyme or reason. I am using... Who am I using? I'm using Mina's description on it. What to do. I know Tracy also has a what to do. I just really wanted the line. If you really want the line, do Mina's. If you're indifferent to the line, do Tracy's because it's easier. But I wanted the line. I'm kind of obsessed with the line. I'm kind of obsessed with how the stripes are like turning out in these, and yeah. So, bit the bullet, joined the crazy team. It is on phlegm. I am doing it on 2.25mm needles. These are knit picks. They do not suck as bad as some. They don't hurt my hands as bad. They're not really pointy either, which I like because I tend to poke. If you're a poker, it's not so much fun. So I have a couple of odds and ends I've thrown in, and then when I'm done, I'll alternate them out unless they are too small for alternating. And then I'll put them in the, like this one is way too small to do anything with, except I save these because I use them to put in my waste yarn for afterthought heels. Because I don't do true afterthought heels because they scare me. And sometimes you get too old to be taught a new trick, and that is one of them. So it's in my fat squirrel bag. And I hate you all for that. I did not need that, although it makes me feel really good to be using scraps, so I don't know why I'm complaining, but seriously, did I need more? Did I really? And last thing on my needles, because I don't have enough. Yeah, this week has been like Russian roulette of what I'm going to knit on. Which means that lots of things have been knit on, but not a lot of progress, except on this one. So last night, night before last, I decided I wanted to knit a shawl for Madrone. I'm going to Madrone tomorrow. Yesterday was Wednesday, or Thursday. So I started Wednesday night. Wednesday night I started, and I'm like, I'm going to knit a shawl for Madrone, which means I would have had to have it done, like, by now to be blocked, so clearly it's not going to be done. Well, it might be done, but not blocked, and I may even wear it if it's not blocked, just because I did it that fast. But, yeah, I decided I really wanted to knit a shawl, and I really wanted to use some of the stuff I dyed, because I get to do that, and it's all sminged on the needles. But this is the body. I'm about to do the lace, so clearly I'm getting somewhere. It's got a really lovely textured pattern to it. It kind of looks like a brocade. And then I put it up to debate on Instagram, and this kind of like a gray purple is the chosen contrast color. It'll look good together. It was either that or it was going to be a pink. This is naturally dyed. It's one of my naturally dyed ones. So is the pink. I couldn't decide. And it is going to be the Across the Pond shawl by Mina Phillip, which okay, there's no pattern on this front page, so let's see if I can get it close. It's a gorgeous lace on the bottom, and then the textured portion on the top. I am knitting the medium, small medium, not the large. I was going to knit the large, but then I thought, time. So apparently, and there's, I want to say 2 repeats of the shawl lace portion, which I may get done tonight, but there's no way it's going to be blocked. I may spray it and pin it in my back seat while we drive to Tacoma. I'm not even going to lie to you, I am that crazy person. But I'm super excited because aside from the fact that it's my yarn and it looks freaking awesome, this is Splatterpunk on the Batty Sock base. I'm going to have a shawl done in a couple of days. This is Skeleton Sock, and I believe this is Myotis. It might not be Myotis. Myotis might have been gray. I'm not sure. I didn't leave it with its tag, and I balled this up before we moved, so ta-da! It's very light purple, and it's naturally dyed, and it's awesome, and it's on the skeleton base. So that's probably going to be what I'm working on tonight. Not even going to lie to you. I'm probably going to be burning the midnight oil on that. Or at least moderately midnight oil. I do need to get to bed because I think we're leaving at like 9 to go to Tacoma. And I have had inquiries on if I'm doing meetups or anything there. I'm not. Because I don't know when we're going to get there and I don't know how long we're going to be. I do know that I'm going to take my sweet ass time in the marketplace. So if you do see me, you should come up and say hi. I have a couple stickers. I don't have many. So if I have stickers, you can have a sticker. If I don't, I'll get more stickers made at some point soon. I need to get stickers and buttons and all that stuff redone. But I will be there. I will be walking around. I don't bite. Come over and say hi, because if you stare at me oddly, my husband's going to think you're bizarre. And quite frankly, he's married to me. So if he thinks you're bizarre, that's a problem. Like, seriously, I don't bite. Now, what else do I have here? I will show you briefly what has been dyed and is currently in the shop. Stuff I showed last week went up. I put a thing on Instagram. I put a thing on the Ravelry board for Knitter's Nightmare Yarn. And I also posted it in Yarnivore because I don't know how many people are in the other board. That other board, the Knitter's Nightmare Yarn, is where I'm going to post all information about updates aside from Instagram. But I did some more dyeing, and don't worry, Splatterpunk is going to be back in, and the other thing that was in, Shadow of Olympians will come back. I have more Electric Funeral, which is this guy. It actually comes out a little different in each skein, so you don't really get a say in which one you get. They're kind of like Babettes, but they were all dyed in the exact same thing, so they just turn out differently. Those ones are in the shop, and then it's really interesting how differently these took, because they're different bases, but it's the same colors. This is Starman, which is based off of David Bowie. The bottom one is the Boogeyman. The top one is the Baddie. And so it's based off of like his hair, his eyes, that horrible blue suit, teal suit in Life on Mars with the eyeshadow. I love that song, and I love that. Like, I mean, I know it's a horrible color, like, to be wearing as a human being, that much of it, because it's a full-on suit. But I do love the color. With flecks of, like, bright pinks and blacks and browns, and, of course, a dark blue, because his eyes were two different colors. And it's just really awesome. And that's Starman. I will dye more of it when I run out, because I love it. I may have to keep one of those. I may have to dye one just for myself because I really like it, and it's David Bowie, and I'm still not over it. Still not over it. Okay. And I received in the mail this gorgeous bag. It's by She's So Whimsical, who's actually Renee from Minnesota, from my knitting group. And I have a different bag made by her that is sadly not holding anything right now, so it needs to be dug out because it's a sweater size. I'll probably throw my handspun sweater in there. It's Pretty Owls. And this gorgeous pink and black. Okay, without saying that I'm a bad person, this is what tracers look like. If you've ever been to a rave and you've heard someone talking about tracers, this is probably what they're seeing. I have not done acid. I actually haven't, but I know many people who have, and just say, tracers. Tracers! And one thing I've noticed about this bag which was not actually written in the card. I'm not sure if she meant to do this, if this is an all the bags thing. Renee, you can post on the thing and tell me. But if you turn it inside out, and you take your little end, it is fully reversible. It has little holes so you can poke it back and forth. I'm not sure if this is on purpose, but I think it's ingenious. Because if you're feeling like not being all owly, if you're a weird person, you can turn it inside out and have a tracer bag. I suppose if you're going to a rave, that would be really helpful. Actually, the owls would be too, because they'd be blacklight responsive. Why am I on raving right now? Okay, so this gorgeous bag is mine. All mine. Mine. But she sent one for one lucky viewer. Ta-da! It is unopened. It is the same one, I am told, of this gorgeous bag, which is very deep. Very, very deep. Which means it's probably going to house my shawl now. I wanted to keep it cat hair free until I showed it to you. But look at how cute the owls are. Okay. Donna, look at how cute the owls are. A bagillion times. I would also like to point out that there is a code, all caps, no spaces, until 12/31/16. So until the end of the year, use Yarnivore, YARNIVORE, 2016, and get 10% off bags in the shop. She's so whimsical. Go forth, conquer, buy many. And as to the giveaway, Miss Renee has asked if I would inquire to my viewers what kind of bags they like and what kind of options they like with their bags. What kind of things go into your favorite knitting bags, project bags, etc. So, I am going to open a thread on the RAV group. You have to be a member of the RAV group in order to win any prizes. That's just a general rule on everybody's podcast. Now, you have to be a member of the RAV group. You have to respond to this question. What is your favorite thing about project bags? Are you all about the drawstring? Do you prefer zippers? Do you like them to be longer? Do you like them to be taller? Should they be heavily interfaced? What about reversible? Do you like clips on your zips? Do you like having handles? Do you want key fobs? Tell me what kind of bags get y'all hot and bothered. And I thought I would give it 2 weeks because it's Valentine's Day, and I hope like no one's stuck at home all weekend watching me, because that makes me kind of sad, unless you're watching me with your husband or your wife or your significant other. And well, whatever. Have a sip of something good and just have a good weekend. But I am going to give you until not this one, but the next. I'm going to look at my phone again because I need the friggin' calendar. Give me a calendar. Today is the 12th. I will give you until February 26th. So I'm going to close and lock the thread on February 25th. I will announce the winner. I will draw randomly on the 26th show. So you have 2 weeks to go and tell me, one entry per person, what your favorite thing is about project bags. Favorite thing about project bags. Okay? Favorite thing. I know you can do it. Which brings us to questions and answers, which is kind of fun. Q&A. So again, feel free to go into the Q&A on the Yarnivorous group board. It's Yarnivorous, YARNIVOROUS. Go in there. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Okay. Okay. So I kind of answered Annette, and then I said I would go back and answer hers. So she says, here's an actual question. And I'm glad you all enjoyed the story of how me and my hubby met. And yes, I will still try and get him on the show if you are at Madrone. Actually, if you're at any, pretty much anything I go to, he's usually with me until you show up. Then he will squirrel away and do something. But, well, no. He'll usually stand there and nod. He might go off and do something, but he always sees that as his opportunity to go grab a drink or something. I understand. I'm very much the same way. Here's an actual question. What do you do when you want to make something, but it's not a thing you or any of the people you knit for would use? I've made a few of these recently just for the fun of the process, but now I have the results sitting around and I don't know what to do with them. And I think you should share a peek into your sock drawer because you knit so many great socks. I think it's awesome. I bet it's awesome in there. Honestly, it's not. It's a sock underpant, like, drawer. It's not that special. Bebop eats a lot of my socks. I think I probably have maybe 10 pairs right now that aren't eaten. Yeah, it's sad. What do I do when I make something that that happens often, actually. For some reason, one year I really wanted to make diaper covers. Because I had a yarn I thought would be great for it, and I thought, I'll make a diaper cover. Knew no one who had kids at that point. Knew no children, nothing. I had diaper covers sitting around for forever. I didn't know what to do with them. And then one of my friends had a kid. I'm like, here, have these. Honestly, it depends on what it is. Usually I can find someone to give it away to if I really try hard on the 6 degrees of separation. I do have a problem with knitting way too many shawls, and then if I wear them a couple times, I'm like, I can't give this away unless someone actually asks for it off of my body, and then I'm like, oh, here, have it. And they're like, oh, no. I'm like, please take it. I have like 10 more at home. I won't give away something I've worn multiple times, so I'm a little iffy on that, but I don't actually wear a lot of stuff. I wear a lot of shawls, particularly in the wintertime, but I don't wear hats very often. Like, there's 2 hats I wear. The stuff I've done for the process and it doesn't fit me really bugs me. I've had a couple sweaters which I've given away to people. Like, it's like, seriously, you look like you might fit this sweater. I will comment to people just randomly. Even in my job or something where it's like, oh, here, have this. I try not to knit those things. I honestly do. I try to find things that would go for someone or something before I would even start knitting it for the process. Because I usually find if it's a process I want to learn, there's got to be something I want. Or if it's a process I want to learn, but I don't necessarily want to keep it, I'll do it in a color that I know someone else will like. Because regardless of if it's actually useful, at least they'll like the color. And then they have to figure out what to do with it. I don't drink tea. When I do drink tea, I use a Keurig. I don't use a Keurig tea bag. I just make the hot water and then I put the tea bag in. I don't have a teapot. I would love to make teapot cozies. I don't know anyone who drinks tea like that. What would be the point for me? I did have one once. I sewed up the hole and I wore it as a hat. I put a pom-pom on, I wear it as a hat. I'm not even joking. And crocheted doilies. I've turned crocheted doilies into tams by running elastic through them and then using it as a hat. So you can repurpose them into things. I think the major problem is just finding something with what you want to do. And then once you have it, just stretch your imagination. Okay, my mother doesn't need a bulky knit owl stuffed toy. I gave it to her anyway. Now it sits on her spare bed instead of mine. It's really just passing the buck at that point because you've already gotten the enjoyment out of it and maybe they would enjoy it. I know there's been stuff I've given away. I'm like, okay, good for you. And they just won't stop raving about it. So it's the acrylic panta I made out of chenille yarn in like 2005. Like, it was on craftster.org or something like that. Like, before Ravelry, my sister-in-law still has that thing. She still wears that thing. It makes my skin crawl because I know that it was like 99-cent yarn. I just wanted to do it, and then it didn't fit in my head even. I did it wrong. And she's just, I need more. So, you never know who's going to like the useless thing. And my advice is, if there's something you really, really want to try searching in Ravelry to find something that has an aspect of that you can give away or that you might like. Also, start looking to your office. I know you work in an office. There are a lot of people you can give away useless crap to in an office, just saying. You can put shit on your desk till the day is done. That is my answer to your question. Because I could keep going, but I'm going to stop, okay? Okay, some discussion about going to the Eugene Black Sheep Festival, which I still want to go to. Okay, Kent. Hi, Kent. Hi, Sadie. I love your podcast and was just wondering how Petrie got her name. Well, Kent, I do love talking about my babies. Petrie wasn't actually supposed to be named Petrie. I think when I got her, her name was like Kira, or it was something weird with a K. It was not necessarily weird. Okay, that's a perfectly happy name. Don't send me hate mail here. It's just, I thought it was odd. No, it was Keisha. I thought it was odd for a cat. Because with cats and dogs, you get to name them the names you probably wouldn't name a human. That seems to be my theory. Like, I would never name a cat Pancake, but I think that's a great name. And I would never name a child Simone de Beauvoir, but I would totally name a dog Simone de Beauvoir. You know, like, it doesn't make any sense. You just do it. And I didn't like Keisha for her. She just didn't, it didn't seem to me. And we were driving home. I got her in Prince Albert. She was the only cat up for adoption at that point. She was a birthday present. She had been found in a convenience store. The ones where you step and it opens and then closes. And it was winter in Prince Albert, which is frigging cold. Because that's, like, past the 50% point in Canada. Like, you're getting into the upper 50%, which is the frigging cold portion. And in winter, she had been found, the doors had closed on her. And she was crying, and that's how they found her. So, she was, friggin'. Okay, there, that'll help, right? She was found in the convenience store, and she was the only cat up for adoption, so there really wasn't an option about which cat I was going to take, because she had to come home with me. And we were driving home. My mom was driving a van for work at that point, because she had to take dental students to and fro. She worked for the National School of Dental Therapy. And as we were driving home, she hopped up on the back row of seats in the van, and we stopped to pick up a cat litter, because we had the food and stuff, but we didn't have the cat litter. We just spaced on that, I guess. And so she was walking back and forth on this, the back seat, and she's always been quite stealth. She likes to jump and climb and walk on, like, tall things, and she biffed it and fell down onto the seat. And I looked at her and I said, "You falled." And anyone who knows that reference, it's from The Land Before Time. You know, "Petrie, you're a faller, not a flyer." "I flied." "No, you falled." So I was like, "You falled," and then I was like, "Petrie, eh?" Because I'm a Canadian, and I say "a" lot, particularly when I'm in Canada, apparently, or when I'm talking to my mother. And she perped at me. She does this thing where we call it the perp. She does it, she'll talk to you back and forth with it. So that was her response, and I was like, "Okay, so your name's Petrie." And back up to climbing she went. And proceeded to do that all the way home. And that is how Petrie got her name. She has kept it ever since and been true to it. Although she was quite stealth for the longest time, and now she does not attempt her jumps anymore because she has no balance from the tumor and the lack of whiskers on that side. She has, her balance is really off, so she does not climb half as much anymore. And right before I go, since I've been keeping you guys updated, I finished reading In the Garden of Beasts by Eric Larson, who is actually a Seattleite. A satellite. He also wrote The Devil in White City, which I kind of want to read. That one is about the World Fair and H.H. Holmes. It looks big, but like a good... Where is it? That portion of the book is all notes. So it's really factual and really nice. It is love, terror, and an American family in Hitler's Berlin. It's about the family that ends up going to be the American consulate and their lives. There's not a lot of Nazis. They do know some Nazis. They meet some Nazis, but it's definitely not, one of those books where it's like, ooh, here's a Nazi. I don't understand those books, but so it's a good book. It's about the family and their lifestyle going from Chicago to Berlin back in the day. Some of the things they observed and acknowledged, and how their perceptions changed during. It takes place during the 1930s. It leads kind of up to the war. It's 1933 onward, 30 to 33 and onward. So if you like historical fiction that's based off of truth, because all of the things that are written in italics are actual direct quotes. That's why there's so many notes, because they're taken from the direct quotes of letters, historical documents, etc. That have occurred. So it's trying to paint the most truthful picture of that particular time in the family. I really liked it. I liked it so much I want to pick up the other books he's written and see if they're as good. I'll probably start with The Devil in White City, which Emo said is good, but lacks H.H. Holmes, which kind of makes me sad. Because serial killers are awesome to read about. An American Horror Story Hotel is basically, to me, an homage to H.H. Holmes. And I like the fact that they brought in a bunch of they didn't bring in, but they had a bunch of serial killers depicted, which I thought was really cool and interesting. So now that I've finished that, I'm starting this one, which I'm sure everybody and their brother has read. I've read it before. This is actually not the first time I've read it. And there's a ball of yarn on the cover. That's right, yarn. To Kill a Mockingbird. I'm pretty sure I don't need to say anything about this, but I'm reading it as a prelude to Go Set a Watchman, which is a very controversial book because no one knows if it should have actually been published because of the situation surrounding Harper Lee. I'm still going to read it. Okay? I friggin' hate Jian Ghomeshi after everything that's come out in the media about him, but I still read 1982, and now I plan to use it as fire kindling. I won't even trade that book in so other people can read it. I don't want him making any money. I don't want people knowing anything about him. How dare he besmirch David Bowie. But I did read it. And so I'm going to read Go Set a Watchman because I do believe it's an important part in literacy, literariness. Literariness. It's like truthiness, only with books. So that's next up. It's probably going to be like a day of reading because it's, a minute, the size of a minute. I think I read it in one school day last time I read it. So, and then I'm going to watch the movie because I have the movie. Great Peck is awesome. I think that's everything I've got to talk to you about this week. And if it isn't, I'll talk to you about it next week when I will have some haul. In the meantime, I am now going to go and record the next podcast before I run out of light, because as you can see, it's receding. And you can find me on Ravelry, you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on the Ravelry boards. I'll see y'all next week. Happy knitting, happy Valentine's Day, or seasonal, or Singles Awareness Day. And bye!